Unhurried, leisurely, easygoing, laid back, nonchalant. I ask myself, what would that look like for me? It's funny. What feels like ease to one person might look entirely different to someone else. The first picture that came to my mind was my grandmother on the front porch with her girlfriend and neighbor, snapping green beans in the afternoon shade. Then another image came to me, my grandfather on the dock of the bay with his friend, fishing with no particular urgency. For me, it might be a walk through a forest, a slow stroll along the beach, or an afternoon on the sofa lost in a book. Maybe driving down a long stretch of highway with dark clouds banking on the horizon and lightning strikes splitting the sky. Or just sitting in a park with music in my ears. Or walking on old railroad tracks with nowhere to be. I thought about what I had witnessed on my own life. My mother stretched out on a couch, or taking her time watering the grass, pulling weeds with patient hands. My father, well, that's a different story. He always seemed to have somewhere to be. And yet, death comes for all of us, whether we lived hurried or unhurried. I wonder sometimes which is better. A farm life sounds unhurried until you think about all there is to do. City life seems full, but maybe it's just you who's busy. Maybe it's just everything around you that's busy. Well, I have plenty of time to think about it now and to figure it out. You know that airline with the yellow jets? Well, it just went out of business. And just like that, my life became unhurried, whether I planned for it or not. Luckily for me, I saw it coming. I mean, who lets you buy a plane ticket for $1 and then turn around and charge you like $350 in baggage fees? That's not a business model. That's a farewell tour. I had a new job starting in about a month. I decided to use my time well, or rather, to use it slowly. I brought a train ticket to Washington State. It's beautiful up there in the summer, and a train window is about as unhurried as transportation gets. I sat watching the landscape unspoiled mile by mile. At one stop, an elderly woman paused in the aisle and asked if the seat beside me was taken. I told her no, and she settled in. She smelled of sweet jasmine flowers. I guess she was somewhere in her mid to late 70s, though with black women, it's genuinely hard to tell. We rode in comfort, silence, and for the last few miles before she introduced herself. I'm Miss B, but you can call me Bella. She asked where I was headed and why. I told her about losing my job and about wanting to do something that felt unhurried for once. She listened, nodded, and then said, "Child, at 93, there's one thing I know about, and that's work." She had been working since she was 12 years old. A babysitter, a cook, a seamstress, a farmer, factory worker, and eventually a loan officer at a bank. She had 2 husbands in her life, 2 children from the first marriage. Her first husband died in a work accident. Her second husband, he lost a long battle with cancer. She also had a son who had passed in the military from an accident. She spoke of them with all the kind, quiet dignity the way people do when grief has had enough time to settle into something they can carry. I keep it pushing, she said, smiling, as the young folks say. Being the beneficiary of all their insurance policies left me in a comfortable position, and a pension and Social Security took care of the rest. She was on her way to live with her daughter in Washington, a daughter who was married with 2 grown children of her own. My, I said, you have been busy. Our conversation flowed for hours. At some point, she reached into her bag and produced fried chicken and lemon pound cake, which she shared without hesitation. It was the kind of food that feels like it was made with intention. At some point, she leaned over with a glint in her eye and said, "Do you know why I stopped being a seamstress?" I said I didn't. It just didn't suit me. I laughed longer than I expected to. As the miles rolled by, our friendship deepened, the way some friendships do, quickly and without pretense. I asked her if she ever just wanted to rest. She looked out the window for a moment before answering. You know, there'll be plenty of time to rest when Jesus comes to take me home. Right now, I just want to be helpful to friends, to family, to whoever needs it. I took that to heart. Seated beside me was a woman who had buried husbands and a son, who had worked every kind of job there was, and who still measured her life not by what she had accumulated, but by what she had given. More than the fried chicken, more than the jokes. She gave me something to think about for a long time. We made one last stop before Seattle. I stepped off the train to stretch my legs and grab some snacks. When I returned to my seat, Miss B was quiet. I didn't disturb her. As we rode into the station, the conductor's voice came over the speaker announcing our arrival. I reached over and gave Miss B a small, gentle shake. She didn't move. I tried once more, and she slowly slumped toward the window. Miss B, Bella, she was gone. I sat there for a moment in disbelief, a quiet tear finding its way down my face. All I could think about was how kind she had been, how generous, how unhurried, not in a passive way, but in the way of someone who had made peace with time long ago. She was with Jesus now, and nothing left to hurry for.